about the dollar. Not about the dollar. I know we can do better. We can do better. 'Cause you ain't just another. You were born to elevate. It's not about the dollars and dimes we keep in our pockets. Not how we go from losses to profit. It's not about the box and contracts. Serenity is made with contact. I know you know that we can do better. I think it's not a hopeless endeavor. It's not about the box and contracts. Serenity is made with contact. Serenity is made with contact. Serenity is made with contact. It's not about the dollars. I know we can do better. 'Cause you ain't just another. Serenity is made with contact. Seems we got stuck in a daydream. Going blind is following the routine. What if we just stop for a minute and breathe? Why we're all struggling upstream and fighting for a get-rich-quick scheme? What if we forget about the wants and our needs? What have we become? You grow old, you go numb. It's not about the dollars and dimes we keep in our pockets. Not how we go from losses to profit. It's not about the box and contract. Serenity is made with contact. I know you know that we can do better. I think it's not a hopeless endeavor. It's not about the
Hey everybody, what's up? What's up? What's up? How's everybody doing? Hopefully everyone's having a good day so far. I'm an hour later today because I had to do a workshop that just ended. So I'm just I was kind of scrounging beforehand trying to get the video up, the intro video uploaded. But anyway, how's it going? Let's just say hello to everybody in the house. Marie is here. Hey Bohemian Sun. Hey RM. Hey James in Poland. Awesome. Good to have a lot of the regulars here. Do say hello if you are watching. Make sure you pop a hello in the chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Yeah, nice to see who's here. Hey Patricia, you're always here. Thank you so much for coming back. And James and Keishla, awesome. And wow, RM, lots of messages. Can't quite keep up. Hottest girls from here in Thailand. All right, that's not the topic of today. But anyway, hey, Kevin. Greetings from Canada. Awesome. From Georgia. Very, very good. So I did a poll recently on my YouTube channel. And this is what the poll showed. So I asked, how are my online teaching friends doing? Several hundred votes. And many said doing great. 31% said doing great, confident about the future. But 50% said hanging in there, not sure what to do next. 20% awful, feel like the rug has been pulled up. So a very large majority of online teachers are, kind of like trying to figure out what's next in their career or in life or whatever's going on. And it's scary. It's the unknown is scary, right? Not knowing what to do, let alone how to do it. You might have ideas and things in mind of what your next move might be. And some of you might have already moved on, saw the ship sailing and said, see you later, mate. I'm on to the next adventure. I've talked to hundreds really of online teachers over the last month. in various different positions, with what they're doing. Some are hanging on to the end, but I really encourage you to start looking at pivoting. And that is the topic today. I want to talk to you about 4 steps, 4 ways that you can start to pivot. And actually, you've probably pivoted many times in your career already. You've probably made, shifts in your jobs. Actually, the average tenure in the US is 4 to 5 years of employment. And so on average, people change jobs every 4 to 5 years. So now I'm coming up to 4 years with VIP Kid. And of course, I have other things going on with income streams with my YouTube channel and coaching and courses and, things like that. But as it has always been with VIP Kid, I was kind of getting to a place of wanting, to look at other things within online teaching, or not necessarily a complete career change altogether. But I want to just share how you can look at this word pivot as not a scary thing, but something that you can do quite easily by just looking at what is around you and what you can do that isn't super, super scary. So I've kind of broken it up into 4 steps. And so we will jump into that in just a second, but I just want to see what people are saying. So yeah, if you already are doing something else, let us know. Maybe you transitioned to OutSchool last year. Maybe you've gone back to brick and mortar teaching. Maybe I know several teachers have gone into substitute teaching. So yeah, do share what your next move is, because yeah, it's time to start thinking about that. We're now on day 4, if you're a VIP Kid teacher, of not having classes. 4 or 5 days of no classes. We don't know what it's going to look like, after September the 1st. I hope that things continue for a little while, but I'm certainly not relying on it. And so I am also pivoting as well. And pivoting is not necessarily, doing a complete 180 and going into something completely, unrelated or unknown. That's not necessarily what pivoting is. Pivoting is something that you've probably done, as I said, many, many times. When I was a teacher, I was in different roles. So going from like 1st grade teacher to a 3rd grade teacher, that was a slight pivot. I had to learn a new curriculum, worked with new people, changed classrooms, the whole 9 yards, changed schools, moved different countries from Canada to China to Malaysia to Thailand. I've pivoted many times without really realizing it. And all of these pivots were things that were natural transitions and things that were just because I was growing as a teacher. I pivoted from a classroom teacher before I quit the school system altogether into being the tech integration specialist for my elementary school. And that was because I grew as a teacher in technology, loved integrating technology with my students, and then found a natural transition into helping other teachers do that, right? So same with online teaching. I pivoted into creating content to support online teachers, and it was just a natural transition. So Rayette, I'm an approved teacher for OutSchool, but so lost on how to build a class there. There are people out there that can help you. I promise you. There's lots of resources and support out there. 4 years with Chinese students, usually 2 or 3, but I'm coming up on 4 years with Chinese students. I am pivoting now. Yeah. Awesome. So, okay, let's back up a little bit. I found a good quote for pivoting, and it's doubling down on what is working to make a purposeful shift in a new related direction. Okay. So it's really easy to get caught up in following what other people are doing. What MLM scheme popped into your Instagram DMs last week? For me, I probably had 6 or 7 MLM schemes, beautiful business ideas pop into my inbox, and they don't resonate with me. The person doesn't know who I am and what I do, and it just, it doesn't resonate with me. It's not a pivot that I want to make. And I'm not going to succumb to desperation just because someone's offering some way of making $100,000 a month, which, by the way, does not happen right away and only happens to a select few. So, I want you to kind of, just keep that in mind. Let's go into the first step. So the first step is to examine. And by examine, I want you to think of looking at, so examining, first of all, your own situation, right? What's working well for you right now? What are your strengths? What are your skill set? What do you really enjoy doing, whether it's in teaching or outside of teaching? And I've said this before, make a list of those things. I call it like an inventory of your skill set, right? Maybe you've never done that before, but take an inventory, examine what you're really passionate about, and what's working well. So maybe there's an aspect of online teaching that you really love and you really get results with students. This is a good place to start if you are transitioning or pivoting into creating your own teaching business, right? So examine what is working well for you. Examine what you're interested in. Let me know in the chat. What are some things that are working well for you right now in your life? What do you really enjoy doing? And maybe you've always wanted to explore that as an avenue of income or as a business. And next, I want you to set a vision for yourself for 3 months, 6 months, or a year. So, a good thing to do is if you've kind of taken stock of what's working well and where your skill sets are and where your passions are, make a little plan for yourself for 3 months, for 6 months, and even a year as to where you want to be. What do you want to be doing? Do you want to be private teaching? Do you want to be launching some business idea or doing something online that is a dream you've always had? Sometimes we don't pivot in complacency because when we're complacent and comfortable, we don't have that room to expand. We don't have that room to get a little bit uncomfortable because that's all pivoting is. In that space of being a little bit uncomfortable, that's when you know that the pivot and the transition you're doing is probably what you should be doing. If you are trying to pivot and transition into something that feels so scary that it's paralyzing and so out of your reach that you don't take action, then that pivot is probably a really fast right turn that you're not ready for, or a total 180 that is out of what you're capable of doing. And so take note of that. Like as you start to look at things, think about how you're feeling when you're making decisions about that stuff. So set a vision. That goes along with examine what's working well, and really put some goals into place. Because if you don't write that down and don't set that goal, then it's unlikely to happen. Okay. Number 2 is to look around. All right. Look around for opportunities in that. So if you've written down some skills like, I don't know, gardening or yoga or teaching cooking or whatever it is that you're kind of interested in or you've had little bits of success with, start looking around for opportunities where you might be able to explore that a little bit more. Maybe there's some courses out there that you could take, or maybe there's some coaching that you could take that would help you move the needle a little bit closer. Sometimes you just need someone to be able to talk to or ask questions to be able to figure out, how to jump through all the hoops so that you're not dancing around for too long and unsure of where to go. So look around for opportunities where you can start testing those things out. And sometimes it could just be in Facebook groups. You can pay attention to what other people are doing. But once you've narrowed in on what's working well and where your skill set is and where your passions are, start looking around for opportunities to be able to do that. Maybe you can go and volunteer and do something if it's a completely different career change, or maybe there's some companies that really align with the type of teaching that you want to do, or maybe there's who knows. Check out groups on Facebook, do Google searches, look around. The internet is full of knowledge and information, and you can really find out anything you need to. So number 3 is to test. All right. So what do I mean by test? When you're making a pivot, you want to test out whether or not, number 1, you enjoy that pivot that you're going into. Number 2, whether people really want to learn that from you, right? So it's a really good idea to test out that idea that you have before you start going full force, launching a business, investing a lot of money, go out and test whether or not that thing that you're thinking about doing is something you actually want to do. And number two, something that people want to learn from you or pay for you or hire you, or if it's a marketable opportunity, right? So test it out. I've done that many times on this channel. I've tested things out. I'm testing things out right now. I've got a coaching program that I'm doing for September. It's 41 hour sessions with teachers that want to pivot into their own teaching business. And I'm really working, with teachers to help them get results and to see if it's an area in my business that I want to explore more of. And there's nothing wrong with taking risk after you find that natural next step for you, whatever it is, to, testing it out. I've tested things out with different things that I've created. A website course that I made last November that I still sell was an area that I was testing out to see if I enjoyed teaching about websites, which I do. I love talking about it. And it's still something that I offer on my website. I've done free coaching before as well to see if coaching in a specific area was something that I enjoy doing. I learned a lot from it. It wasn't high risk, and it was something that I was able to not make a huge commitment to, but to get valuable insights from, to then put effort into the next thing, whatever that is. So let's see what folks are saying. I'm on private students and building online preschool in USA, or any English speakers or English and Patricia. Yes, I remember you were doing that. Creating classes on OutSchool can be overwhelming at first. I definitely encourage you to connect with other OutSchool teachers to brainstorm ideas and lesson structure. Yeah, and OutSchool sends, there's lots of marketing tips for OutSchool, and I suggest you connect with other OutSchool teachers in Facebook groups and Instagram and stuff like that. But OutSchool also sends you, top demanded classes from parents every week. So that's a place. But start with what you're good at and with, where your skill set is, because sometimes it's not always about creating massive classes, right? If you're doing, what do they call them? One-time classes, or I forget what they're called, recurring classes, then you're actually only creating one class and just teaching it over and over and over again. Ongoing classes, I think, is what ongoing, something different. Anyway, but if you're creating those one-time classes, then you're just recycling the content. And it's not always about creating, gorgeous lesson plans of 30 to 40 slides if you're teaching about cooking, or if you're teaching a physical education class on Zoom, or if you're, teaching reading through a story. You're not necessarily putting a whole lot of stuff together. You're going to gather some resources, and then, your process of creating those are just going to get easier and easier. Most people who join MLMs lose money, not make money. That is true. That is true. Gosh, I've had so many conversations with people this week about MLMs, because I literally have had 7 or 8 in my Instagram DMs this week from people that, it's just unbelievable. They literally search VIP Kid Life or VIP Kid Teacher and just send mass DMs to all these teachers that are losing their jobs. And I think it's just a really sleazy marketing tactic, to be quite honest with you. Whether you have something helpful or not, it's just not cool. Not cool. Why are Q Kids teachers allowed to work on? I have no idea. Q Kids, I think it depends on where they're located. Technically, none of these companies have been able to offer summer classes, but they have been. I think that something kind of happened recently where they couldn't get away with it any longer and had to quickly close for 4 days. So Powfish teachers allowed to teach on the weekends too. What gives? Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. Could be, like they're only targeting 7 cities. So maybe they're based in another city in China outside of the policy. I don't know. It's definitely like provincially governed too. For teachers who have pivoted to private teaching in China, are you using curriculum from the companies you work for, like VIP Kid, or creating new curriculum? You can't use the curriculum from the companies, but you can find curriculum out there. There's all sorts of different resources out there. In my Facebook group, we are sharing about resources. It's this one right here, Going Solo, Pivoting as an Online Teacher. And, you're welcome to join that. Just make sure you answer the questions. What ESL companies do you recommend that hire teachers from other countries? Honestly, right now, I'm not really talking about many non-Chinese ESL companies. Number one, it's just overwhelming. There's hundreds and thousands of them, and the list is never ending. Some of them are very small. And when I talk about them on the channel here, I usually send hundreds of applications to the company that are not prepared for it. And most of them have gone on hiring freezes after I've done some videos on them. So I've chosen right now to not talk about non-Chinese ESL companies until I get some more intel from certain companies that really do need teachers and with a more clear understanding of what they're looking for. I found a really great company in Korea called Nil English. I thought they had bigger hiring needs than they did, and I sent them 800 applications, and I think they had 5 positions. So not really a good investment of my time to help people if the companies are just not needing that many teachers. And that's the case really across the board right now with non-Chinese ESL companies. The one I do recommend is Cambly. As far as I know, their hiring is a little bit slower, but they are still hiring, so you can get in there. And some are getting hired fast and some are getting hired slow, so you do have to kind of be patient. So test it out. Definitely test it out before you go full force into your next pivot. And then finally, of course, is launch. So once you have looked at your next step, okay, so you've kind of taken stock of like what's working well, what you enjoy, where are your skills, where's your passions, what is a natural next step without doing a 180 into a scary unknown area, into something that you're not comfortable in. Look at like what's a natural pivot. Maybe it is taking your online teaching and going to a non-Chinese company. Many have done that and done it successfully. So that could be a good pivot for you. Absolutely. It's not a scary pivot because you're just going this way, right? You're just changing the direction. You're going to another country. You're not going into a whole new industry. But maybe you've been dreaming about building your teaching business and you want to go out on your own. So what's a natural step? I take those 1 or 2 students, maybe from my Chinese company, if that's what you want to do. I wouldn't depend on China right now, but that is a natural next step that many teachers are in the position of doing because they've got the students, right? And the students still want classes. So can I take those 1 or 2 students and just do a very small scale teaching with a few students? And then once you learn those skills of what it takes to do that, which you will learn so much from, then you're able to take those exact same skills, right? And you can replicate that into your own teaching business with students around the world. I promise you, you can do it. It's not scary, and you can start really, really small, literally with 1 student from China, and then get some systems down with that, and then go find 1 student out of the billions in the world who wants to take a class with you, and then you build from there. It's just like a snowball. So that could be another natural pivot. Maybe you want to go into go back to an old job that you've done before, right? So go and test it out. See if that's something that you really want to do. And then go in full force and start to launch and scale and grow when you find that next big move. So we are going to do great things as online teachers. You have to remember, what we have been able to do with our students in China is something that they will remember forever, and it will have changed our lives as well forever. So harness that really positive experience that you've had. It's okay to grieve and to be sad. I'm absolutely sad and to see the end of VIP Kid, but I shouldn't say things like that too prematurely. VIP Kid has not ended, so I know that someone's going to go in the comments and say VIP Kid has not ended. I know they've not ended, but you know what I mean. So I'm very sad, of course. I'm devastated. It was a wonderful opportunity, but guess what? There's 1,000 opportunities around the corner, and so we are going to do great things. Don't undersell yourself for what you're capable of doing. Yes, Cambly Kids. Yeah, I know. I'm in touch with the folks in the hiring department there occasionally, and they do need teachers for sure. I know that they're a bit backlogged with applications, but keep on them, email them if it's been more than a week, go through their support system. They're a good company. They don't pay great, but they pay $12 an hour. VIP Kid teachers that are getting hired right now are getting hired at $7 per class. Cambly Kids is paying $6 per class. So it's actually not that far off. And they've had incentives. I think they might have incentives going on right now that are you're able to make even more, depending on the amount of classes that you teach. So Rose Rayette, sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. I played a month ago, still waiting. So one little tip with Cambly Kids and the application process. If you have been waiting as long as you have been, which is really disappointing to hear, go in and change your profile video. So your application video. So sometimes when you do that, it can breathe a little bit of fresh life into your application, I've heard. So, try that if you're still stuck with not, hearing back from them or anything. Won't desperation for Cambly Kids almost guarantee that the pay will continue to suck? Kevin. Well, it's probably not going to get any better. But if it's something that a teacher needs right now in the interim, then it could solve a problem quickly. Yeah. But yeah, it's not great pay, and we are certainly worth more than $12 an hour. Absolutely. Kimberly, advice on platforms used for creating courses or course material. I'm just checking something here, Kimberly, because I did get an email. Sorry, I got hair blowing around. I did get an email from somebody who does have a resource for creating your own curriculum. I'm just trying to see if I can find it in my email here. Okay, here it is. So this is it's an all-in-one online course creation software. I'm kind of hesitant to recommend them because I don't know anything about them, but they wanted to work with me on promotion. But again, I don't know anything about them, but they're called Heights Platform. So there you go. Heights Platform. That's all I know. Other than that, you can use pre-made things. You can kind of pick and choose and find things on your own. Teachers Pay Teachers, or make your own stuff. Simple slides through Canva, or you can do interactive lessons on Nearpod. You can buy Daniel Didio's curriculum, Chit Chat to Fluency, or you can find something online like I think it's called ESL Library. I've got a thread in my Facebook group of different curriculums that you can use. Dan's got some success with Facebook ads. Yeah, I mean, I don't really believe you need to do Facebook ads to begin with. I think you can build with organic reach and starting small, but Facebook ads can certainly expedite things. But a lot of times teachers don't have the money up front to put up for ads. And with Facebook ads, like Dan, you really need to be targeted. I mean, you need to really know who you're speaking to. Otherwise, you're just wasting money, right? Other countries are up and coming, Poland and Vietnam. Yeah, potentially. Yeah. Hey, Laura. Hey, the Common Core standards are free for anyone to read. You can look through the standards and then use that to guide your curriculum creation. Good advice. Awesome. You're welcome, Kim. Hey, Michelle. I just saw you about a half an hour ago. Tennyson, Twinkle, Raz Kids. These are the resources Minji suggested for curriculum creation. Yeah, so they're pre-made. So I do use Reading A to Z. Raz Kids is actually the take-home reading program for Reading A to Z. So Raz Kids is like an app that the kids read stories on. So it's not really curriculum creation. Reading A to Z are lots of resources for ESL students. It does cost money though. So again, I wouldn't purchase something until you've sold it, right? So if you're going to use something like that, make sure that you pre-sell it first. If you're going to put an investment of $100 a year into something, make sure you pre-sell it first with your students, and you've got 2 or 3 students that want to use it. Purchase it, and then you've at least got your money, right? So that's how I would do it if you were going to use a program or a package that costs money. Thank you for what you do. You're very welcome, Betty. I hope I can give you a little bit of hope. There is definitely hope out there right now for sure. Yeah. So you're welcome, Michelle. I've kind of steered away from giving industry update, or sorry, that's Kea. I've kind of steered away from giving a lot of industry updates. You know, the Wales English has closed, Bling ABC has closed, Goga Kid has closed. I mean, it's just nonstop, right? And it's not something I have the time or energy to keep up with, nor do I feel like the never-ending stream of bad news and negativity is something that I want to have on the channel per se. You know, the industry is sinking for sure, but I want to provide hope and encouragement to you that you can do big and great things after this. And many of you are already transitioning into great stuff. So yeah, you're probably not going to get the specific company updates anymore from me on the channel, nor a ton of non-Chinese ESL companies. Although I will talk about non-Chinese companies when I'm 100% confident that they're hiring, because I've just done too much in the realm of that over the last few weeks and sent, hundreds of applications and caused companies to go on hiring freezes because they only needed a few teachers. And it's not worth it to them or to you to put the time into something that's not going to turn into a job, right? If you want to work for a non-Chinese company, I want you to get the job. I don't want you to sit in, some kind of holding cell or purgatory for, weeks and months on end, because that's not helpful. I have heard Engu is hiring though, so they might be a good place, a Cambly similarity. And yes, there are many other companies hiring as well. I understand that for sure. So I can't keep up with it, and I don't want to keep up with it, to be quite honest. I want to pivot as well into content to help teachers build their teaching business. So, Carl, will you be doing another live stream with Minji to help us navigate the path ahead for the Chinese ESL companies? Not specifically. We just did a workshop today and on Friday on understanding the Chinese clientele that you're dealing with, and she does some workshops on WeChat. I'm not doing a lot of advocacy for WeChat at the moment, even though I'm not buying into a lot of the hype and holler around WeChat could go away tomorrow. I mean, yes, it could, but is it going to? Probably not. And there's no reason for me to think that it would. So I think that if you're going to go on WeChat, it's a good idea to get your parents' email address as well. WeChat's like any social media, right? Like Instagram, YouTube. I mean, YouTube could close my channel tomorrow. Instagram could shut my Facebook of 12 years down last year for like nothing, a misunderstanding. So you just don't own your social media. So you should never be building your business on one social media platform, especially a social media platform based in another country. So, like China. So you always want to be building your own thing. It's just like, online teaching. I always talked about diversifying, but not only just diversifying with other companies, but really building your own thing. Like, you don't want to rely on these companies. And this has been a huge awakening for many that, building your teaching business on VIP Kid is not sustainable. It's like, building your house on someone else's property. So you want to always be building your own thing. And I think those of us that have been able to have several students over the years, and I've never wanted to grow it really big because I do other things. Like I'm involved in too many other projects that I just don't want to teach all day. I'm happy to teach 2 or 3 hours. And because of the way I've set myself up with other students and student referrals, I won't have any problem with that if VIP Kids shut tomorrow. And I probably would have, well, I know that I have several students on VIP Kid that want private classes, and I haven't decided if I'm going to take all of them. So it's just, the options are there, is what I'm saying. You don't have to feel like, you've lost everything if you depended on this, because I want you to just look at what could be a natural pivot for you that's not scary, but that feels like you're being stretched a little bit. And a move like this causes us to pivot because now we have room to breathe, right? Now we have like these 5 days even just to kind of like stop. We're not forced to teach online or feeling forced, or, I used to always feel like, oh, if I give up my classes and don't teach, then all the other teachers are going to take my students. And I mean, I see that all the time in the groups. Like, no, it's a gift to have these 5 days actually. And a big relief, I think, for many. I know a lot of people lost a lot of money, but that time is coming when the job isn't going to be there. So give yourself room to look around and start exploring. Fluid Me interview next Thursday. Cool. Thank you, MF Carasoli. So I am doing some coaching. I'm not taking on a lot of teachers, but if there are a few teachers that want just like an hour with me, sometimes it helps to bounce ideas off of. I have a link down in the description. You can check out what it would look like and get in touch with me if you have any questions. But I am helping to coach people into that next pivot if that's something that you are interested in. If you're not, there's a lot of resources out there. You can certainly look things up on your own, and you can, totally, do things on your own. There's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes in a pivot, it does help to have that. And I do so much of it for free in email and on Messenger and in comments all day that I wanted to kind of put it into something that I could offer to teachers that wanted that option. So with that, let's see if there's any more questions. I'd love to show you Yin Yin because she was wanting to be the star of the show earlier, but just as I started the music, she curled up. Oh, here she comes. I can grab her out from underneath here. There we go. My little white fluff ball. Oh, she says, why did you wake me up? I was sleeping so soundly, Why do you always do that to me? I don't know. Because you're just so cute. All right, we'll go back. Oh, she's a long-haired cat, which means that, the hair just comes out of nowhere and never ends and just falls from the sky for hours. Why do teachers have an emotional attachment to their regulars? Because they love their regular students, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I love my regulars. I've had students for years. I have not an emotional attachment, but same way that you would, when I taught school, like I had a connection with my students, but it's different, right? Like with school, you have them for 9 months and when the end date is, when the start date is. And usually by the end date, you're like, can't get out the door fast enough. You're a little bit sad, but that's just how life works, right? That's how the school system works. But with online teaching, it is quite different because you're teaching them occasionally, not every day necessarily. And it can go on for years. So I've seen students grow up from like 6 years old to 9 and 10 years old. And I'd be sad to have my last class with them, but many of them I have on Wechat to keep in touch. And, I think a lot of teachers get very connected with their families and, form really nice bonds. So, yeah. Elizabeth, she is beautiful, beautiful white hair, but it's just the long-haired cats are just no fun. Yeah, you love them so much, Rayette. You're welcome, Laura. Anyone else have anything to chat about? Otherwise, yeah, we're over time here. So I wanted to talk about pivoting, which I did, but we ended up talking about so many other things, which is always fun. So thank you. If you need anything, reach out. My DMs on Instagram are always open if you want to chat, connect, ask questions. That's a great way to connect with me. So thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.